Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to World This Morning. In our first segment, we were talking about Pakistan cricket. And in this segment, very quickly, we're going to discuss the infrastructure and patterns of living and how your environment and how your house, especially the places that you live in or go to, can affect your mood, your mental health as well. Yeah. And for that, we have with us a psychologist and an architect who are going to discuss the very basics of this.
Exactly. And before I introduce them, ladies and gentlemen, there's this one feeling which I wanted to share, and that was that, when I moved into the house we live in right now, so I think it was located in such a place where, sun rays wouldn't come in a lot.
Okay.
And in the previous house where I was living, so I was used to having breakfast where there was sun coming in and there was television. And I used to feel very lovely, amazing, energetic. So after living a year or 2 years within the same house, I felt as if, if the sun rays are not going to come in, I'm not going to get the same energy. And it had quite a lot of impact, which is why now I do my breakfast outside the house too as well.
Great.
Because I just cannot. So there are these impacts which we do not really pay heed to in our daily lives too as well. We're going to discuss that. For example, in the older decades, we saw that there were verandas. Even if we go now these days to all the old structures, baradaris and all of these, where you could actually, when we used to have like open verandas, we could even talk to the neighbors, anybody going in the street, so all of that kind of thing, it's gone because, we've come down to a point where we live in
we've urbanized a lot, actually.
Yeah, it's not even urbanized. It looked like, for example, we're living in cells. We don't even know our neighbors these days. So on my right-hand side to discuss all of these issues, we have been joined by Dr. Anam Khan, who's a clinical psychologist from NUST. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Thank you so much, Walaikum Salam. It's a very interesting topic, I would like to add, because like you said, that in previous decades, no one has given importance to it. So thank you so much for having me.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, last but not the least, it was very hard to get our hands on this guy, especially because he's ranked like in the top 5 architects within Pakistan and outside Pakistan too as well. Alhamdulillah, he just got back from Hajj. So congratulations, Mr. Jamshaid Khan. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. Ji, aap theek hain?
Allah ka shukr, alhamdulillah. So let me just get started with you because you're an architect. So earlier we had open houses, open spaces, green pieces within the houses. But now we live in nuclear units, so where we just want to stay inside. That's it. We don't want to be in light.
Exactly. It's a matter that we were not involved in research or in kind of our knowledge which were based on our indigenous living style.
Yeah.
So nowadays people are working again on it, how we can improve our living through good designs, functionality, verandas in modern styles. You would see a lot in Islamabad and Lahore, Karachi. So it's a good sign that we architects are now working on it. And you are right, and I agree, because 50 years back, and there was a gap in between learning. Colonial time and the education of Pakistani generation. There was a gap. So that gap also affected the architectural side. No working, just magazines, copy paste. Now, alhamdulillah, we can say now young architects are working on it, how the features of our architecture, verandas, open, heighted ceilings, how we can bring into our contemporary architecture in Pakistan.
Amazing, amazing. So, which is why I'm going to move on to Dr. Sahib over. Now, Dr. Sahib, I'm going to give you in comparison. So, imagine that there's a kid who's actually been living in a joint family system of like 4 rooms only, where it's like 5 chachus and so many aunties.
Lots of cousins.
Yeah, in the same house. And then there's this one kid who's actually been nurtured and raised up in a house where there was open spaces, where he had independence within his own house. His privacy was intact. So how do you think that both the environments are going to have an impact on the kid itself?
Well, they are way different. For example, like you said, that if we take the example, the first one where he's living with a joint family system, or we can say that maybe he's not that comfortable because he doesn't have his own personal space or little space where he can play with his friends or where he can sit for a while alone. For his me time wouldn't be there. So we can say that yes, and with comparison to the other kid who has his own place, he can play around, he can do whatever he wants. So yes, the psychological well-being or the mental health of those two would be quite different. Why? Because when we talk about home, that basically means that we are comfortable, we are at ease, and that is a place where we belong to. But if you are in a rushy place with lots of people and you don't have your own some space where you can sit alone, so yes, of course, that is going to be detrimental for your psychological
Okay, but Dr. Anam, you know, lately there's a trend of, you know, not living in double-story, triple-story houses anymore. You know, we've moved to flats as well, where there's just one vast area
floor,
that we're covering. You know, the
yes.
rooms are there, the living rooms, everything's there. How does it affect, does it actually affect our health, physical or mental?
It does. It facts you in all ways. In fact, if you talk about your physical health, so yes, you're not being active, you're not moving around. You're just living on the same floor. Maybe you have your dining and living in bedroom in the same floor. So yes, that means you're not mobilizing yourself.
Exactly.
So that is going to affect your physical health. And recently I was going through some literature which has supported that initiates some knee syndrome sort of a thing. Why? Because you're not using staircase. What we do basically, we are avoiding stairs these days. If you go to shopping malls, so we are going to escalators
Elevators,
or something else. So that is going to affect your health. And talking about the psychological health too, because you need some change. For example, if you sit for so long in a similar place, for example, if I'm sitting, I'm spending whole my day in dining room or drawing room. So yes, that would be initiating some negative energy within me. So I need to change my place maybe after every 1 hour or maybe after 2 hours or 3 hours. So that shift in energy is required.
And imagine the gym I go to, I have to take a lift to actually be there because it's on the 3rd floor too as well. But we do have stairs, but I don't opt for stairs. But other than that, you know, Dr. Saiba very easily said that, you know, times are changing, people do not want to move. But I want you to tell us what are the current trends, what kind of things that people or ideas are people coming up with to have a house, for example, where it's just single story, is it just double story? I think people over in Islamabad want to build houses or probably have much more space, which whatever they can manage within 500 square yards of plot as well, or probably smaller or bigger, and they're going for basements too as well. What are the current trends?
Shazad, there are very few features for a good, healthy living in a house. For example, you need air, oxygen. So you have to develop your house, not dead-end walls. Especially in Androon Shahar, you would find dead-end walls, no window, no ventilators.
Exactly, yes.
So nowadays, we must be appreciate that now architects are very much aware about it and they are very sensitive about it.
Okay.
And the second thing, you must have some visuals in your house, greenery, landscape, some water features that pleased you. And the third thing, your personal space, where you want to play, where you want to sleep, where you want to read.
I want to do everything in my room. That's it. I want to eat over there. I want to pray over there. I want to play over there. I want to sleep over there. That's it. Don't call me
You are
outside my room.
lucky. You are lucky.
I'm so sorry, that's not healthy at all.
Yeah, that's not healthy. I know that.
And you go
But
to
lot of people in our old cities don't find these kind of spaces and these kind of opportunities. And the next thing which I would like to say that some common spaces to interact with the family, to interact with the neighborhood, to interact with your guest. So these are very important spaces, common spaces. These are basically the spaces which educates you indirectly. Which you said that sometimes neighbor talking to you from the wall. We have seen that in our childhood. Yes, exactly. That is basically catharsis. When two neighbors are talking to each other, they are sharing their things with each other. So sometimes they're for meal, sometimes they're salan.
Let's ask Dr. Saiba whether is that true? Do we relax? Is it catharsis?
It is, and it's very important. Why? Because you need to connect to your community, to your neighborhood. Why? Because like you said, that now we are not connected. We don't know who's our next door neighbor and who lives there. And in case if they're facing some problem, we have no idea about it. Why is it so? Why? Because we are living in our own big houses and we have no idea what's going outside our four walls. So it's very important when we connect to people, and I'll second him that when we connect to nature, that has an impact on you. Nature includes light coming in, proper ventilation. You have some area, for example, those who are housewives, they can go for some kitchen garden sort of a thing. So yes, they're busy and they're doing something, and we need greenery around us right now. So I think that connection with the nature is very important.
Okay, Mr. Jamshaid, before very quickly, can you just tell us what are some of the things that architects or builders should keep in mind when they're building, disaster-prone buildings?
Exactly. I also wanted to come on it because now it is it is not easy to build a house. It is easy to purchase an apartment. what should we do in multi-story buildings
Exactly.
for a healthy living?
With the 11 floors and
Exactly,
whatnot. Yeah.
exactly. So again, air, view, and personal space, common spaces are important. But sometimes you want to see sky, sometimes you want to see moon.
Yeah.
So sometimes in winter you want to sit in a sun, and sometimes you
Have
want
some
to,
oranges as well.
Exactly. These are the things which are very important for the healthy life and psychological health,
Yeah.
which the Dr. Saab had said. Psychological health is very important for the physical health also. If you are not psychologically fit, you can't be fit physically.
Okay, that's
So-
great. But there's one thing, and I need a solution from you because you're an architect too as well. So for all those people who live in apartments, especially the newlyweds,
Exactly.
you know, what happens is after a year or 6 months they start fighting, and any neighbor could actually hear them too as well. So the affairs of your own house will be discussed by people living right next to you within the apartment. This is something which happens a lot. So can we come up with a technique where all of what has been said stays within the house too as well?
Not fight.
Some,
Yeah,
That's
don't
as simple as
fight.
they
Yeah.
don't fight.
some another room when you fight to go into that room because of some time gap. So I don't agree with those buildings which are those are the cluster of the apartments. There must be some gaps, spaces, greeneries in every floor, in each floor, for the kids who can't come in 11 stories down for the park, and for Zaif older people, those who can't come again and again for the park.
Yeah.
So we have to arrange some green patches as a roof gardens on each floor.
That's great. And very quickly, a person who will live in an apartment and a person who lives in a house, psychological impacts.
Well, that is going to be different, but yes, you should make it homely and you should be comfortable about it. I won't discourage it that if you're living in an apartment, that means that you won't be healthy or otherwise. But the thing is that you should have that level of comfort over there. And yes, I would agree to him that you should have some area. For example, even if you're living in an apartment, you should have some area where you can put some pots or you can have some swing where you can relax. And yes, I think that you can enjoy that moonlight and that winter some sunlight over there too. So I think you should have some area where you can be comfortable, where you have light, where you have your own flavor, you can play some music, drawing paintings, or some sort of a hobby you can
So
cultivate
wherever
over
you
there.
link, just customize it and make it homely.
Yeah, your own flavor should be there actually.
Very nice.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation with you too as well. It was great to know that that the places we live in have an impact on us, on our personality too as well. But ladies and gentlemen, the weather is changing. I wanted to talk about that we're more prone to heat these days as well. Climate change there. We'll talk about different techniques. We'll have you over on the show once again as well. So today, since we were too focused about cricket because we're a cricketing nation, we couldn't
the Asia Cup is
justify the
just around
time
the
we had
corner.
to discuss all of these things. So we'll definitely have you over once again. But do you want to add on to something, Shiza?
Oh no, I was just saying the Asia Cup is just around the corner, which is why we were so focused on cricket.
All right, so do write to us, ladies and gentlemen, on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of
Well this morning.
on Twitter,
Well this morning without a shame.
on Daily Motion
Well
and
this
YouTube.
morning.
And the fabulous repeat is going to be
11:05 in the night.
Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good
morning.
morning. Thank you.